Going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here. I've got another Nio update for you guys. At the current time that I'm recording this, Nio is up about 17% on the day. Obviously, we could see a little bit of volatility going into close, but the Chinese markets are still looking solid. The electric vehicle markets in China are still looking solid. And we also have some very, very interesting news specifically for Nio, and it's really kind of feeding into everything that I want to see out of this company moving forward in order for them to have success. So we have a lot to talk about in this update, guys. So before we get into all of that information, if you guys do enjoy the information and analysis that I provide for you guys in these videos here, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot in spreading these videos out to as many people who actually want to learn. Let's see if we can get this video to 500 likes. That would be really awesome. And again, if you never want to miss another video like this, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. So the first thing that we need to talk about here is obviously the chart of Nio. One of the things that I've been talking about a lot with Nio is it was meeting, and it still is, one of my main three criteria that I need to see met in order to outlay capital into a new position, and that is the chart. With the way that Nio has looked in this area here, we have a very, very solid risk to reward entry spot with this support area that we have seen respected many, many times. So I own this at about $4.54. That's my average right now. Could be a little bit better, could be a lot worse. Pretty happy with it right now. If I need to add, I will. But right now, guys, we are also seeing Nio pop through and potentially by close today, closing well above this daily 200 exponential moving average, which is this red line that you guys see on the screen here. That would be a very strong starting point for a continued move on Nio to the upside. Obviously, we could see a retest of that area. We do have earnings coming up soon, which we are going to be talking about towards the later half of this video here. But more on that in a little bit. Again, as I said before, when we think about Nio, when we think about China, you guys have heard me say this a couple of times. China has been deemed by the market to be uninvestable. And over the last year, really since I established my long China position through Yin last April, we've seen a lot of money flowing into the Chinese markets. We're seeing very successful institutional investors. And now we are also seeing organizations like Citi coming out and saying Citi downgrading US stocks to neutral, but upgrading China to overweight. Now, this isn't going to be the end all be all, and this isn't like a make or break for what's going to happen with Chinese markets going forward, but it is always nice to see these large institutions coming out and having a bullish thesis in kind of the economy as a whole and the market as a whole that I am very interested in having exposure to over the next couple of years here. So the other thing that I want to briefly mention to you guys here as well is that, and again, we should talk about this too. Nio is going to report their unaudited fourth quarter and full year 2024 financial results Friday, March 21st. So not this upcoming Friday, but the following Friday. And that conference call is going to be held at 8 a.m. Eastern time. So before market open, not this Friday, the following Friday, we are going to get some more information on how Nio performed in the fourth quarter of 2024 and the entire year, which again, with their delivery numbers, the strong deliveries coming in at the end of the year, it is looking like they could perform relatively well. But again, from what I've said in prior videos, I'm not really all that focused in on what Nio is doing with this earnings report. I'm really more focused on what happens towards the end of this year and really the beginning of 2026. And one of those reasons is obviously Nio's margin. That is something that they have struggled with for a significant period of time. It is starting to get better, but what Nio is doing now, Nio making organizational changes to focus on more cost control. Report says Nio has introduced a CBU system to strengthen cost control, and multiple functions will be downsized based on full year targets. The new mechanism requires every penny invested to be heard back. Having their spending be a lot more efficient is going to help their margins down the road. Now, this isn't going to be something that can just get turned around in a quarter. It can definitely show progress, but that is why I am saying I'm more so focused on what's going to happen over the next couple of quarters than what is happening in the present with Nio coming up on their next earnings report next Friday. Now, here's where we get into some interesting information about the Chinese electric vehicle market as a whole. China auto sales hit a new record for February. The electric vehicle market remained a standout, with top EV makers experiencing strong sales and exports. February sales of new energy cars, which include battery EVs and plug-in hybrids, rose 80% to 686,000 units. Now, while Nio may not have had the best February in terms of deliveries ever, what this does show is that the demand for electric vehicles in China is still high. And the other thing you have to think about as well is that obviously Nio is a premium, and it's a premium brand or a luxury brand. In this type of economic environment, it's obviously going to be a little bit more difficult for a lot of these consumers to go out and justify spending a little bit more money on these premium vehicles. But that's where Onvo and Firefly come in, which is, again, going to be very interesting to see how those sales numbers and margins in those sections of their business develop over the next couple of quarters as well, guys. So there's a lot of really, really positive things happening. We have the Chinese market as a whole looking pretty good. We have the Chinese electric vehicle market as a whole looking pretty good. And we have Nio taking those steps forward that they need to in order to try and increase their margins by controlling costs. So a lot of what's happening with this stock right now in this company, I would say, is very, very solid. But again, guys, nothing I say in these videos is financial advice. You can go out and short the stock for all I care. All I'm here to do is give you guys more information about stocks that you're already interested in. And the other thing that I do want to note as well is that China EV insurance registrations for the week ending March 9th, Nio came in very low here at 1,930 registrations, Onvo at 1,060. And as you guys can see here, Nio branded vehicles saw insurance registrations of 1,930 units in China, down 37.74% from the previous week's figure of 3,100, according to figures shared by several auto bloggers today. Now, again, while 1 week is really not going to make a whole long-term trend, and again, you do typically see a little bit of a slowdown in the first quarter of the year. Again, that's not the best thing to see. But again, with any stock, if everything that was coming out about the stock right now was positive, well, you would obviously see it priced very differently in the market. And again, what I've said before is this is a little bit more, I would say, from the tickers that I have talked about in the past, whether it be Palantir, SoFi, Yin, Philip Morris, and any of the other ones that we've talked about. This is, I would say, probably the most risky and potentially going to be the most volatile one that I've talked about. But again, with that type of risk could come some very significant levels of reward, which is why, again, on some days like this, you can see Nio run up about 17%. So, guys, that 80% increase in the electric vehicle market in China, very solid. Those cost-cutting measures looking very solid. We have Nio's earnings report coming out. Again, it was listed on TradingView as being today. Then today we saw it come out that it's now going to be March 21st, next Friday. So that is going to be something that we're looking out for. But this move that we are seeing today, guys, very solid. It's a very strong start. I would say that this could potentially be, technically on the chart, the start of a relatively big breakout. Now, again, it is going to need their earnings numbers and the report that comes out next Friday to follow through in order for this to continue, but we will be waiting until then in order to see what those results are going to show. So guys, that is going to wrap up this video here. If you did enjoy the information and analysis that I provided for you guys in this one, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot in spreading these videos out to as many people who actually want to learn. And again, if you never want to miss another video like this, guys, make sure you guys are subscribed, turn on those notifications. But other than that, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.